Probably the heat is the most extreme weather. It gets up to over 100 degrees, and plus you put humidity on that and it gets really hot. There'd be days we were in our apartment trying to study and just have all our shirts off and just have the fans blowing because it's just too hot to deal with. Getting dogs to leave you alone, because there's a lot of dogs. Like, you could stand in the street, look around, and there'd be 10 to 15 dogs just running around. And some of them are mean, most of them are nice, but a lot of times they'll come up and bark to you, so you learn a lot of ways to get them to run off, whether it's picking up a rock or making a sound like this, or saying fuera, which means get out. So we did that a lot. I remember one time we were sitting in a lesson and a dog was just wandering around, came up and peed on my companion. So they'll do that. They're always marking their territory and everything, whether it be you or anything. So a lot of times what people do, you'll see always in the street that there's a bottle of water by the door. And you're like, why is that there? And one time my companion explained that so the dogs don't pee on the wall. For some reason, if you put a bottle of water by the door, the dogs don't pee there. And so they don't stain everything. I don't know what. But it works. Probably the craziest food I ever ate is I was at an investigator's house and they said, hey, we have a puma tied out back if you want to try it. But we were pretty sure it wasn't puma just because they kind of lied about everything. But they're like, we're going to kill it right now, so don't come look. And so they went and skinned it and hung it up, and we couldn't tell what it was because it was missing its head, but it was small. We were pretty sure it was a cat. But it was just like moving around still because I guess it just keeps having muscle spasms, and then they cooked it up right there for us and we tried it. So I'm pretty sure it was cat, and my companion said it tasted like cat because he had cat before. And it was okay. I don't know that I would eat more, but but I tried it just to try it. And earlier that day they had given us hard-boiled turtle eggs, which were not too bad. They taste kind of like normal eggs. I would talk about the time that, like, the scariest time I ever got robbed. I was actually worried about me and worried about my companion. That it was at the end of the night. We were just in a family home meeting with a family. That it went really well, and we left their house. We were eating ice cream that they had gave us, and I remember that they came out to watch to make sure because it was in a really dangerous part of the neighborhood, and we only had to go about a block to get to our apartment, but they were watching us outside from their front yard. And we were just happily eating our ice cream, and then I saw from the corner of my eye a man come out, and I looked down and I noticed that he was just carrying a pistol by his side. I was like, oh no, what do we do? And it all happened really fast, but he just grabbed my companion, who was also new in the mission. He only had a few months, and put that gun in his back. But he didn't say anything, which is the weird thing, in that we didn't really know what he wanted, other than he's just saying, go home, go home. He was like grabbing my companion, he's like, go home. And we were like, what do you want? We don't have anything to give to you. Like, all we have is our scriptures. If you want this ice cream, it's like really good. So I tried to give him his ice cream, and like, it was weird in that he almost accepted my ice cream, and I was like, what does this guy want? And he's like, no, I don't want your ice cream. And my companion had 2 pesos on him, and he's like, here's 2 pesos, that's all we have. And he took the 2 pesos for a second, then gave it back to us. He's like, no, I don't want that either. And then he left. And then we went home, and the people that were watching us had already called, like, our neighbors, and everybody came out and they chased after the guy. But that was pretty scary because we weren't exactly sure, like, if he was okay, like if he was just gonna just start shooting us. But it was a really weird experience, but it's fun to remember. Probably the greatest life lesson I ever learned on my mission is how to listen to the Spirit. And that I think I probably went on my mission not really understanding what the Spirit was, how it communicated with me personally, maybe never having a really strong experience with the Spirit. But I really feel like if I had not gone on my mission, I probably never would have learned that. And that to this day I'd still be just wandering around lost, never being able to figure out how the Spirit communicated with me. I feel like that the mission made that all the difference for me. When I first got to the mission, I had a really hard time with wanting to share, like, with my experiences and wanting to talk. I didn't speak Spanish very well. I felt like there wasn't anything that I could really offer. I felt like my trainer was a really good teacher, and like if I spoke up, it would detract from the lesson. And so I kept pretty quiet most of the time, and sometimes my trainer would get mad at me and he'd be like, hey, you need to help, you need to start talking on the lesson, and then we need to have 2 witnesses or otherwise it won't bring the Spirit. And I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like I sit there in the lesson and I worry and I try to think of what I'm going to say next, and I can't think of anything and I don't understand what's going on. And that time my trainer just sat down with me and he just gave me a good talk. And then he just told me how much he loved me and how much he appreciated the advice that I would give in the lessons, and how he said that every time I did spoke, that it was just right on and that it was exactly what we needed. And all the time he'd tell me, don't fear in English, even though he didn't speak English. Just in every lesson he just, don't fear. And that was something that really helped me to get over that of wanting to talk with the people. Yeah. The most spiritual experiences that I ever had on my mission happened fairly early in my mission, when I had about 6 months. But I just barely got into a new area. I was with a new companion, and we had been teaching an investigator, and they had already taught her all the lessons before I got there, but she wasn't progressing very much. And my companion had the inspiration. When I wasn't there, I was actually on divisions, or on exchanges, and they gave her the interview for the baptism questions. And in that interview they found out that she had some doubts as far as Joseph Smith goes. And so when I got back, me and my companion planned a lesson to try to help her feel the Spirit about Joseph Smith. And we watched the video about the restoration. Me and my companion both bore testimony about prophets and the need of prophets, and about the Book of Mormon. And then we both felt impressed that we should just ask her to pray right there in the moment to get her answer right then. Because she had always prayed, always tried. And we asked her, do you have the faith to get an answer right now to your prayer? Not later, but right now. And she said, I do have the faith. And I said, okay. So we all knelt down and we started to pray. She offered the prayer, asking a very simple question. Said, is Joseph Smith a true prophet? And she didn't even finish her question before she just started to cry. And I almost started crying, and I'm not a person that cries very much. And the Spirit just fell upon that house. And she just sat there and cried for a moment. And then after a while she got up and she said that she felt the hands of God on her head, telling her that Joseph Smith was a true prophet. And needless to say, shortly after that she got baptized. It just goes to show that when you have a well-prepared lesson that brings the Spirit, and the person has the faith, that you can see a lot of miracles in the mission. That was one of the biggest miracles I ever saw.